Forever DMs, what are your favorite character concepts that you'll never be able to play? Let us know in the comments below. A fairy bard that was brought to life by a powerful wizard who cast a wish spell on an antique teapot because he couldn't have kids himself, and she goes around singing tales of her deceased father. Her name is Anna Teapot. I briefly got to play in a campaign where every PC was a bard, and it was glorious. We enjoyed it tremendously, but our DM, who was relying heavily on a module to run the game, didn't really know how to deal with us, and things just kind of fell apart after a while. But I wish I could do that again. Pathfinder 1st Edition in particular has some great teamwork feats and such that make things really interesting for characters with Perform. A fighter who retired to serve as a city guard after he took an arrow to the knee. Someone took his sweet role and he's back in the adventuring game on a revenge quest against anyone who was involved in taking it. My elven cleric of Moradin, who is a dwarf dweeb. He has a fake beard and overpronounces dwarven words like a person from the suburbs ordering from a Mexican restaurant. A very cheerful and bubbly human Circle of the Blood druid, 15 or 16 years old, with the lucky feet. She was traded to a coven of blood hags by her parents when she was a newborn. Usually, these babies end up drained of blood, maybe experimented on, and pass away pretty quickly. But she kinda just didn't die. I left the reason open in case my DM wanted to play with it. And her relationship with the hags is, kinda nice. They absolutely still put her life in peril and drain her blood and use her body. She has runes carved all over her body and some on her cheeks from blood rituals. And she's missing both eyes. The hags took them when she was younger, and now she wears a blindfold. But they also braid her hair, read her bedtime stories, and teach her magic. When she leaves home, they still write. And it's all very loving and cordial, if a little creepy. When asked about her family life, she kinda tries to admit the fact that they're hags, like, "Oh, my family? Haha, well, we are a very matriarchal bunch, I'd say. Pretty spiritual and tight-knit. My moms are great. Eee." I really hope I get to play her one day, and I hope that her family actually gets a little bit better somehow. A lizard folk wizard that has a kind of familiar that is one of those birds with crown-looking feathers on its head. He acts like, or does take, direction from the bird. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I was thinking about Jadzia Dax from Deep Space Nine and thought it would be cool to have a character who is part of an organization that commits to ferrying these long-lived beings around the world. Like, it could be a larval elemental princess, or an intelligent plant, or a talking crown, or literally anything. It could be serious, or dark, or alien, or funny. But there is a ton of drama coming out of the fact that the character is committed to aiding this being. They have to protect it. They have to, mostly do what it says, or follow the guidelines of their sect. They sometimes won't want to do what the party wants, though I would have this be exceptionally rare. And they may sometimes need to choose between what is required of them and what is right. My first thought was a person carrying a cupcake around, talking to it, explaining everything they encounter to it, and everyone is wondering if the character is insane or actually doing what they claim, working for this organization that nannies extraplanar beings. But the more I think about it, you can change the object and creature, and the tone adapts to literally any campaign. Two kind of similar characters that I want to play, and it never seems to work. One is a warlock pirate who has some sort of storm elemental housed in their body, keeping them alive. Some sort of Thor meets a pirate. The other one is a ghost artificer, the German doctor from Hellboy. Ooh, nice. A human who is on the edge of inceldom, though being disillusioned by the local village leadership, aligned with the obviously corrupt government. Yeah, I know, cliche for sure. Then they find an ad for a self-help program, where it's a patron running a sort of Phoenix University online college for adventurers. To an observant character, this would be an obvious scam, but to our vulnerable human, he'd end up as part of this MLM-type cult. The journey of self-discovery would be fun. Level 1 Artificer, rest into Cleric. Once a man of action, hitman, cowboy with a duster, rifle, and a Bible. Trying to do right by his god, and finding each step forward in that path is harder than the last. Mostly because I want to use the classic line, "It's up to God to forgive you. I just arranged the meeting." I would love to actually be able to play a blood hunter ranger with a firearm and a crossbow who hunts fae. I would love to play this, but there's never been a campaign I've played in as a player that this character would work in, and I end up making another paladin, cleric, or artificer. Alice. I want to be Alice from Alice in Wonderland. She'd be a human warlock in a fae pact with Wonderland itself, and the Cheshire Cat is its mouthpiece and her companion familiar. Offensive or tangible spells are recolored to be cast through the cat, or to have a chess card theme. She doesn't really question the weird things that happen around her, and just assumes that's how reality is. I've been a DM for so long, and I've run games for so many great, interesting, nuanced, original characters, that somehow my dreams have come full circle and I want to play the most basic shit. Like, I want to play a horny bard. Maybe grew up in the circus, probably boozes a little too much. I'm getting to play more lately, but I've yet to play in a campaign where I get to play a later-in-life paladin. A middle-aged man who has set off an adventure because he let his son down. How? Don't know. Just know that he's trying to make things right, but he either lacks the ability or the courage to speak to his son about how he failed. And now he's trying to run away from it by being the man his son needed him to be. I really like dark fantasy and grim stories, so it's difficult to find a campaign group for this. An old, friendly man who had a very average life, who is known for his kindness. But now that he's growing old, he starts fearing death and starts studying dark magic to become a lich. He is ashamed of what he becomes or might become, but at the same time, he cannot resist the urge to go deeper down this path. I particularly like that this is a character you can play in a very provocative way. Once again, a very specific style of campaign. And that there are many facets and layers to him that partially contradict each other. A druid who solves crimes by talking to plants. She gossips with trees. She takes testimony from houseplants. She can find any buried body or murder weapon because the grass can tell her where they're buried. And she can spy on people by leaving succulents in random places. Would need so much DM buy-in. I don't know that the DM who would just let me spam talk to plants even exists. I'm into backstories. I think of these when I'm bored, and the better of these become fixations? There is a group in my world colloquially referred to as the scriveners. Most advanced knowledge was lost in the Second Sundering 16,000 years ago. The Order of Lost Words live in isolation, where they record and copy books of knowledge. Yearly, these are passed into the world while their wanderers seek more texts. Ansari Quilrest was an illuminator for the Order. He discovered a book that was not meant to be recorded. In it was the name of a devil of great power in the lands to the east, a great warlord. The book detailed secrets of this being's ancient order, the rituals and such the cultists performed in the days before the world broke. Ansari used this knowledge to siphon off a tiny trickle of this creature's immense power. This creates the foundation for a warlock I have always wanted to play. The devil knows something is tapping its power, but doesn't know who. This being has sent out agents into the world and has begun to appear to Ansari in dreams. I thought this was a novel approach to a warlock that could be a lot of fun. A few character ideas I've been thinking up, and feel free to use them. A true polymorphed loaf of garlic bread that somehow retained all the stats of a warlock. He wouldn't know how he became bread, but at level 17 he'd finally see his true form, and I'd work with the DM to make sure it fits the campaign without being broken. Then there's Jack, a literal jack of all trades, with 3 levels each in Bard, Monk, Rogue, Warlock, and Paladin. I'd also love to play the everyman fighter, just a normal human peasant who grew up with loving parents, had a good family, maybe worked a farmer's life or a medieval 9-to-5 job, and then decided to join the adventuring life to make ends meet. And finally, the speed demon. a tabaxi monk, barbarian, rogue, focused entirely on stacking as much movement speed as possible, always on the lookout for boots of speed and speed boosting feats. Honestly, it all depends on the campaign vibe and the DM, but those are the kind of characters I'd love to run. A lantern warlock doll. Used to be a simple oddity marching down the streets of a now abandoned workshop area to provide light at night. Came alive when a Chingwa climbed into the lantern and became her metaphorical heart. Gained consciousness in the middle of a bunch of deactivated dolls, now out and about to find a way to wake them up, not knowing that there is no waking up anything that was never alive to begin with, since she's the only one that gained consciousness that way. Made her a recruitable PC for my 2-player table, and got so attached to her that I just wait until I get to play her one day. I want to be Dave, with a 13 and 6 abilities. Every level, I pick a different class until I have them all. The goal is just to pick feats and classes until I have them all in one place. Pick spells so I have all the lower level spells and just upcast everything. Totem, Barbarian, Anthropologist. Got through academia by putting in the work, all-nighters, etc. Totem is from the culture studied, and not bear at third. Tactical combatant, using barbarian powers to push past enemy front lines and wreck their archers and magi. Between totem rituals and background feature, can at least communicate almost anywhere, and can scout in most terrain amazingly well by asking the local critters about stuff. Dwarven Anthropologist Enchantment Wizard. Female, because I want the character to shave her beard because anthropologists immerse themselves in the cultures they study and adopt their practices. And I think it's a fun dynamic to explore the inherent conflict between two dwarven ideals. Shave or half-ass your trade. Slightly falls off when you realize that D&D dwarven women don't actually have beards outside memes. Brewer's Tools Proficiency. Flavor the 5-foot range charm of the enchantment wizard as pulling out a small table, a pair of bar stools, and a small keg. And chatting anthropology interviewing over a pint. Control spells like Hypnotic Pattern being maintained elsewhere. Added bonus. The anthropology interviews can either be generic small stories of growing up and take 3 seconds of table time, I want to continue the interview, take another sip, or an excuse for the DM to lore dump all the bits of lore behind the scenes that we would normally never interact with, or give us blatant hints that we missed earlier by virtue of being D&D players, and which of the three depends entirely upon what the DM wants to do at any given time, and can change round to round if the mood and memory strikes them. Hey everyone, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below, forever DMs, what are your favorite character concepts that you'll never be able to play? Hopefully you can one day. And if you ever want to support the channel, make sure to join our membership program. You get to support us by letting us make you more videos, and you get early access to them too. We love you all. See you next time. Toodaloo for now.